Hi everyone, welcome to my channel or welcome back to my channel if you've been here before. Please subscribe if you haven't yet already. It's a red button beneath me somewhere, and if you click on that you'll be subscribed to my channel. There's also a white bell just next to that, and if you click on that you'll get an alert every time I upload new content. And if you like this video, please click the thumbs up button and give me a like. That would make me very happy. Today's video is the second in a series of autumnal get-readies with me. Get-readies with me. I don't know what the plural would be. Of me doing kind of autumnal makeup while talking about Stranger Things. So this is for episode 2, Trick or Treat Freaks. And I'm using the Modern Renaissance palette. Tried to get myself kind of warm and autumnal up here. So if you'd like to see how I got this look and hear me talk a little bit about, more than a little bit, about episode 2 of season 2, part 2 of Stranger Things, Trick or Treat Freaks, please keep watching. All right, I've already moisturized, I've already applied an SPF, and I've already used my Milani Make It Last setting spray. I'm gonna go in with my MAC Paint Pot in Painterly. I'll bring you in a little bit actually too. All right, so chapter 2, Trick or Treat Freak, opens where, not exactly where we end season 1, but where 11 is kind of saving the day and slaying the Demogorgon. And we see 11 on kind of the other side in the upside down, and we can hear the sounds on the other side of the wall. And she finally pokes through, so we're beginning to see how she got out of the upside down. And there's like a literal birth through the wall. It's pretty intense and pretty literal how she's coming through that wall. I'm gonna go in with tempera, with a largish crease brush. And then we also see all of the Hawkins people at Mike's house. So this is, again, right after the events of kind of the end of season 1 when she saves everybody and all of that, and she's outside the window, and then we have the credits. Go with a slightly smaller brush, and I'm going to go in with golden ochre. All right, so then we're at Hopper's cabin, and 11 comes in as a ghost with a sheet, which reminded me a lot of E.T. They're doing a lot of E.T. references. They did last season with her when they were doing the get ready, kind of putting the wig on her, and the dress, I think, actually, too. And this made me think of E.T. She's I don't know how she's able to emote and be adorable. Bobby Brown, I don't know how she's able to do that through a sheet, but she does. Same brush and raw sienna. And she wants to go out in the sheet, and the bad men won't see her. It is interesting that she's going as a ghost and the boys are going as Ghostbusters. And he won't let her go because it's not safe. And he teaches her the word compromise, which is half happy. Very sad. I'm gonna go in with another. This is a little more compact with Realgar, the kind of orangey color on the end. So yeah, he teaches her the word compromise and says that he'll be home at 5:15. Oh, Hopper. I mean, he is like the sheriff, but okay. So then we see all the kids getting ready for Halloween. Mike is the only one who's really reluctant to be filmed. And it's interesting too because Will's costume's different. The other 3 costumes look like they were made from the same material. Maybe they were purchased, and the one that Will is wearing is the one that, because we did see Joyce sewing on the patch. And we do see a lot of thread at the house this season, which I hadn't noticed before. Okay, now I'm going to go in with a much smaller brush, and I'm going to go in first with Love Letter. So it is interesting that his is the one that's different, and he is not, he's happy about being filmed. It's Mike who's not. And I really am appreciating this season, seeing more of, not even more, but seeing Dustin and Lucas's family. I feel like we might have seen Dustin's mom last season, but we definitely didn't see any of Lucas's family, I don't think. And we heard him talking about his dad in Vietnam, but didn't really see anything. So I'm really appreciating seeing their families. I love Lucas's little sister a lot. She's amazing. She's smart and she says what's on her mind, and she's just amazing. I'm gonna go in with a flat, some Morphe M124 with Vermeer over my whole lid. Oh, also, Joyce sees Will's sketch of kind of the monster and he says that it's nothing, which I think he's saying is nothing, partly to not worry her, but partly, so it's hard to know what's really happening for Will here. And I think he's probably just trying to make her not be scared, but I just also wonder what else is happening for him. I'm gonna flip this over and I'm gonna go in with antique bronze on the outside corner of my eye. And yeah, so we see her kind of see the drawing for the first time. And then the real horror, which is amazing. Man, this time, the kind of adolescent time, is just a hard time. And the horror that they experience when they realize that no one else is wearing costumes is just, that is real horror. I'm gonna go back in with Love Letter just to kind of pump up the warmth here a little bit, because the whole point of this is fall, right? I went in a little too heavy-handed, but that's okay. I can blend. So I've laid that down, and I'll go in with my trusty Real Techniques Deluxe Crease Brush just to kind of blow this out a little bit more. All right. Then Joyce calls Hopper because he did say to call him if anything went wrong, and she calls him about the pictures that she saw that Will was drawing. I'm gonna go in with my, it's not warm enough for me yet. Part of the point of this series is Stranger Things, but the other part of it is me kind of doing more warm looks on my eyes. So I'm gonna go in with a small flat brush with Love Letter around the inside corner, that's better, and up here a little bit. All right, yeah, I did want to make it warmer. So yeah, so Joyce calls Hopper and he comes over, and just the way that he looks at her, it is so obvious that he's in love with her. And I kind of feel like I need to watch season 1 again, because I know that they've always had chemistry, but that look, there's something about the look that he gives her across that table that just feels like he is just like opening his soul to her and is just completely and utterly in love with her. In love with her so much that he really seems happy that she's with Bob. Going to line with my fancy Tom Ford the long part on my lid and then the short part from my wing. So then we see the people at Hawkins, the guy going in and like fixing something. They're in the upside down, there's power that he's fixing. I'm not clear what's happening with that. Then we're in the library and we start seeing kind of the guilt, not start seeing, but Nancy really is racked with guilt over Barb. And then we have another kind of flashback. 11 is in the cabin and she hears noise outside and it's a squirrel, and she opens up the window or the blind, and we get a flashback to, looks like it's a little bit after she escaped, but not too far after she escaped, because her hair's a little bit longer but not too long. And this creepy guy in the woods comes up to her and asks her what she's doing out there. Says he's not going to hurt her. Anyone that says I'm not going to hurt you probably is not someone that you can trust. But she takes the burning squirrel, because she has killed the squirrel, which is why she's having the flashback, for food, and she throws the burning squirrel at the guy. And then she takes his hat and his coat to be warmer. And so it is interesting to see the progression of how she got out of the upside down and kind of what she did since then. Then more pumpkins, and then Magus and Billy in the car, and Billy just being a jerk. He's playing Ted Nugent and he's chasing these kids down. I don't know if he was really gonna drive into them or not. I'm having an issue here. I'm gonna fix it with some micellar water. I'll zoom you in so I can show it to you. See a little bit of bleeding right there? I'm gonna fix that. And yeah, so I'm not sure. Oh, and when you fix things, this is just a tip. Whether you're fixing eyeliner or you're fixing lip liner or whatever, you want to bring it in. I'm gonna just kind of rub that there. And if I was kind of moving it around, I would have to really redo everything, but I'm just gently moving it in with some micellar water, and mischief managed. All right, and while I have my micellar water out, I will sharpen up my wing a little bit. So yeah, he is just, Billy is intense, is what he is. And I hope he wouldn't have really killed them, but who the heck knows. Then we are back at the house, Joyce's house, with Bob, who has a JVC recorder, who he lends to Jonathan and Will for the evening. He's so nice. Bob is such a nice, I trust him. He seems like he's being really good to Joyce. Although, I don't know, and we'll see a little bit more of this in a second, but I don't know if Joyce is ready for it. I don't know, but it's nice that he's a stable, nice guy. And gives him the JVC recorder, and then we're at the party. Tommy is not playing, but he's going as the Billy Zabka character. The Johnny is his name, I think, from the Karate Kid. I'll say the first Karate Kid. I'm obviously not talking about is it Jaden Smith who's in the remake? But yeah, the original Karate Kid, where Johnny's kind of the villain. Hourglass Veil Mineral Primer. And Nancy is getting drunk on Pure Fuel. And I read somewhere, because I wasn't sure who they had gone as, and I read somewhere that he was supposed to be Tom Cruise and she was supposed to be Rosanna Arquette from Risky Business, which makes sense because he's obsessed with Tom Cruise. Tarte Shape Tape in light. And Bob is saying that he wants to take them away to Maine. And it's interesting. I think that for her character arc, like, there's no way she could move to Maine. That would be ridiculous. But I also think that, like, whatever's happening with Will, it's not like you can just go into any doctor's office and have them kind of take care of you. She's kind of stuck there. And it is, you know, where she's from and everything. It's also where Bob's from. But yeah, it wouldn't work for the show if she moved. But I also don't think that it would, because she'd be gone. But I also don't think that it could work for that family, because until they realize or figure out or have finally solved whatever is happening for Will. Because yeah, you can't just like roll into the doctor's office and I don't know, have them solve whatever's happening for Will. But they're dancing, and they're dancing to Islands in the Stream, and he's just a nice guy. Hourglass Vanish Foundation in Vanilla. So yeah, Joyce says this isn't a normal family, and he says it could be. It doesn't feel like he's saying, I want to change you. It sounds like he's saying, I want to like be there for you, to kind of help you because I know how hard things are, is what it feels like to me. Then we're back at the party, and drunk Nance, it's all bullshit. You know, I don't really believe in the long-term health of the relationship between Nance and Steve, but he's being nice and she's being kind of an idiot. There are kinder ways to, and certainly she's drunk, but kinder ways to break up with someone, or to just, I don't know. She's not, and I know that also there's a lot happening for her because of her feelings about Barb. I'm going to pat this down a little bit more, and then I'm going to go in with my Laura Mercier Secret Brightening Powder. Set this. Yeah, so I feel bad for Steve. And then we're back with the trick-or-treaters, and with the kids, I really appreciate the packaging. The Three Musketeers packaging is like it was back then. It's like silver now. Way different than it was. It looks way different now than it does when I was a kid. It was white like it was in the show when I was a kid. Kevin Aquan, the sculpting powder in light. So they're trick-or-treating, and Max shows up as Michael Myers, which is just amazing. She's awesome. And Mike isn't having it. And I think this is mostly because he's missing 11, and I don't know, you know, whatever kind of pubescent feelings, it just must be very confusing to be coming of age and having all this supernatural stuff kind of happening. And I mean, I'm sure in some ways it's a metaphor for adolescence. I'm sure that someone will do kind of an academic paper about how it's a metaphor for coming of age. But literally though, I think that there's just probably a lot of confusing things happening for him, and maybe letting Max into the group means that he's accepting that Elle isn't coming back, which he can't do. Kink and Kisses, Marc Jacobs blush, air blush. So he's not happy with her, but he goes away with them, and ultimately Will ends up alone. He's recording, and we see the recording later, and there are these kids who are tormenting him, and he falls down and ends up in the upside down. And ultimately the kids find him, and I think again it's Mike who rouses him out of this kind of reverie that he's in, and Mike ends up taking him home. They end up going home together, and I think they're at Will's house. They could be at Mike's house, but they're away at a house, and they're talking about it, and Mike asks him if it's real or if it's in his head like the doctors are saying, and Will doesn't know. He also wants Mike to not tell the others because they wouldn't understand. I don't know, maybe they would, but Mike says 11 would, and 11 obviously would. And Mike says that he feels like he still sees her, like she's still around, and she is, but, you know, kind of on a different plane or on a different wavelength or whatever. But I think that that's something that a lot of us experience when we are separated from someone who we love and we feel like we see them. Kind of like Barb sees Nance sees Barb sometimes, like she saw her in the library. It doesn't have to be a romantic love that you have for someone, but I think it is for Mike. And Mike and Will decide that they're going to go crazy together, which, I mean, that's kind of one of the big things about friendship. The older you get, certainly, you know, they've been through a lot as little kids, but there's a lot that happens in life, Dior show, mascara, a lot that happens in life that we don't have any control over. And there's a lot that happens in life, and I think, you know, when you're a kid, at some point when you're a kid, you learn that grown-ups can't fix things. And I think that they're learning those lessons here. In fact, in Will's case, the grown-ups have made things be the way that they are. I don't know that he's kind of aware of that, but, you know, your parents can't fix a broken heart, or there's a lot of things in the world that parents can't, or grown-ups in general can't fix. And the thing that we do, I think, as human beings is we accompany each other on the journey. So we're not experiencing all of this unbearably alone. So the idea of them going crazy together is actually a pretty right-on friendship sentiment. Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finishing Powder. That is so hard to say, but I did. Okay. It is hard to say though. And we'll zoom you through my lips. I'm going to use a Kiko pencil in 305, and I'm going to use my Kat Von D Everlasting Liquid Lipstick in Nosferatu, and I will see you on the other side. All right, I'll zoom myself out a little bit. All right, so I kind of skipped ahead with the narrative of what was happening with Will and Mike, and gonna circle back to the Hopper and 11 thread when he realizes, because he's out examining all the things at the pumpkin patch, and I mean, he's doing police work, but he just didn't communicate with her, and he realizes that it's well past 515. And he sends Morse code to 11 saying that he's going to be late, and she's at home watching Frankenstein alone. And when he finally comes home, 11 is just really upset. And she does this, I think this is the first time that we see her doing the blindfold thing when she's looking at has the TV in front of her, and she's able to communicate with Mike, who just heartbreakingly, like, it's clear that he is feeling her and he thinks that maybe she's there, but the moment that she reaches out to touch him, he like moves away and she can't touch him. It's just heartbreaking. And then back at the party, so Steve is leaving while Jonathan comes in, while Girls on Film is on, which I think might be a reference to the fact that he wasn't stalking her last season, but he was taking pictures of her, so she was a girl on film. The editing is amazing. When they end, the song kind of fades out at the end, kind of when we're leaving the party, when we see Will and Mike together. It's just what they do with the editing, with the sound editing and the video editing is just amazing. And the one thing that I had a little problem with, because Jonathan is a big music fan, and I guess the fact that he didn't recognize that that girl was at the party as Susie Sue from Susie and the Banshees, allows him to use the word kiss, because he says kiss, like she's one of the people in Kiss, which is ridiculous, because I'm sure that he also would know who all the people in Kiss are, but it does allow him to say the word kiss and seem awkward. Yeah, and the editing, I wrote down here what was happening. It's as they're kind of exiting the party, as the camera's exiting the party and showing up with Mike and Will, it's the part of Girls on Film where Simon Le Bon is saying shooting stars, and that's kind of how it fades out as they're going to see Will and Mike, which is just really cool editing. Jonathan takes Nance home really carefully. I'm also not sure how he's able to sneak her into the house, but he is. Willing suspension of disbelief, I'm sure. But he does get into the house safely. And then the last thing that we see is Dustin and the garbage can. Something is in the garbage can, and his reaction to whatever's happening in the garbage can is pretty interesting, which will lead me to the next episode. So, thank you so much for watching. That was episode 2. I'm loving having a reason to kind of dive in and really kind of sink my teeth into these episodes and get a lot of detail and yeah, think about it a lot. So thank you so much for watching. A lot to do in the world and a lot to do on YouTube, and I really appreciate the time that you took to spend with me today. Take care, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye.